Welcome to Turn Into Podcast. I'm Gina Baruch. Join me in my journey and discover how women's stories are woven into our lives, reflecting the beautiful tapestry of human experience. Welcome back to Turn Into. Last time I left you with a cliffhanger. I had just lost a baby, woken up from the anesthesia, and bought a one-way ticket to Delhi. My partner thought I was crazy, and honestly, maybe I was a little bit. But something in me knew this was a journey I had to take on my own. I finally landed in Delhi. Stepping off the plane, I was immediately struck by the beautiful mudra sculptures. But my first mission was to find a restroom. I quickly discovered that the squatting position made things surprisingly easier. With that taken care of, I was ready to continue my journey to Amma's ashram. I took another flight to Kerala, then a taxi, and finally a tuk-tuk, which was an adventure in itself. The roads were incredibly bumpy, and the drivers seemed like kamikazes, weaving into the opposite lane. I'm pretty sure I left half of my fingernails on the seat. After 2 days of travel, I finally arrived at the ashram. My exhausted, idealistic mind had visualized a place filled with serene, Zen-like people, lush gardens, and a peaceful atmosphere. To my surprise, it looked a lot like my hometown of Veracruz, hot, humid, and wild. The buildings even resembled those I grew up with. The ashram was packed with thousands of people from all over India who had come to celebrate Amma's birthday. To get to the lobby, I had to step over sleeping bodies. The man at the desk was a renouncer, a volunteer who had dedicated their life to serving Amma by foregoing marriage and worldly possessions. The entire ashram was run by these dedicated volunteers. After a bit of paperwork, I got the key to my room. It was in the 3-story building with a mix of permanent residents and guests. My room had 2 twin beds, a small bathroom with a toilet, and a bucket for cold water. My roommate was a shy, quiet girl from France. After dropping off my bag, I went to explore. The ashram was huge, but it wasn't a single planned campus. It had grown by acquiring neighboring properties, where Amma had built a university, a hospital, and an orphan. Undoubtedly, Amma has been making impactful positive changes in her community. To get to the birthday ceremony, I had to walk for 10 minutes and cross a bridge. I sat and enjoyed the beautiful chants, watching a long line of people waiting for their darshan or hug. A group of volunteers worked around her, receiving gifts, managing the line efficiently, and even wiping the sweat from her face. When the ceremony ended, I stayed until the very end. The announcements were translated into English on a big screen. Amma was advising people to take care of their belongings and be careful when crossing the bridge, as some had been raped during the 3-day celebration. What? This was my first lesson. For some naive reason, I thought I was going to a place where everyone was kind and good. I was almost expecting to see angels singing to me. The universe was telling me that, yes, good people with good intentions exist, But that doesn't mean you can completely eradicate the rest of humanity. I went to bed feeling exhausted, but also hopeful that tomorrow will be a better day. The birthday celebration was on its final day. I spent my time observing every detail and asking myself many questions. Why is it so hard to see God in ourselves? Why do we treat someone with a status as unique while we treat others so poorly? That afternoon, after the program was done, I was observing Emma's darshan when a funny scene unfolded. A discussion between a German woman and an Hindu woman took place right behind Emma. The German woman, who appeared to be a renouncer, was arguing with the Hindu woman. The argument escalated, ending with the German woman slapping the Hindu woman's face. I was shocked. It was another huge lesson for me. First, don't idealize monastic life. Everyone is a human being and can lose their temper. Secondly, the true spiritual path begins when we start treating all people as if they are the incarnation of God itself. After Emma's birthday celebration was over, I decided to go with the flow. I started a routine, waking up at 5, having a cold shower, and meditating with the group. After that, I would have breakfast. There was free chai and soup of water and vegetables for everyone. For Westerners, there was also a coffee shop with delicious pastries at an affordable price. Every morning, I would sit at a table and meet people from all over the world. It was there that I met a 50-year-old renouncer. She shared her story of meeting Amma and knowing immediately that this was her path. Even though it wasn't always easy, she looked genuinely happy. But to my surprise, no renouncers were. From my experience with the Catholic nuns and my time at the ashram, I noticed that only a small percentage join out of a genuine desire to serve. These kind of people are bright like the sunlight. You recognize them easily. The rest may be there for the wrong reasons, often because they were deeply hurt by the world and find comfort in a sheltered life where someone else leads them. I found these people to be bitter and to make life more challenging for those who were truly happy. My friend Padma, the nun who had introduced me to Amma, was also there, but she was so busy working that we barely hung out. Like any large organization, there was a hierarchy in the ashram, and senior members had more influence. You could see that Amma was always surrounded by a group of elderly white and Hindu people who were her right and left hands. The other renouncers had responsibilities and schedules, just like any job. Some managed to have fun, enjoying yoga classes and other services the ashram offered, while others lost themselves in their routine. After my morning chai, I would volunteer at the coffee shop, and then I had the whole afternoon free until the evening meditation. For the very first time in my life, I had a stop, and it made me feel anxious. I had a sense that I needed to be doing something. Why couldn't I just be there and enjoy the present moment? Suddenly, I felt a deep sense of loneliness, even though I was surrounded by thousands of people. How was that possible? I think it's only when we stop that we are able to feel what we have been postponing our entire lives, because we are so busy doing. instead of being. I continued to meditate and observe my feelings, trying to understand where they came from. My ego resisted so much, being judgmental and trying to find excuses not to go deeper, until one day, during one of my group meditations, my ego surrendered. Tons of tears healed my heart, and finally felt so much love and peace. That's the power of group meditation, especially when people's frequencies and intentions come from the heart. The healing is so much powerful and faster than being by yourself. When Amma went on tour, I was a bit disappointed with myself. I had planned this trip for months, and now that I was finally there, she was gone. I was questioning, should I stay or should I go? I thought, there are lessons we have to go through in this life, like compassion, forgiveness, humility, and letting go. There's no way to skip the lessons we are meant to learn, whether we're volunteering at an ashram or living in the rest of the world. The only difference between living these experiences in an ashram versus the world is that in the last one, you can also enjoy simple pleasures, like sleeping in a good mattress or tasting some delicious tacos. After 2 weeks, I got to a point where I could see reality without idealization or judgment, seeing the light and the dark, the yin and the yang, everything as a whole. But I didn't feel the need to stay any longer. Perhaps I was too young to appreciate the potential for learning there. Or perhaps I hadn't met the right guru, the one who says, "Hey, get up off your knees. There's no need to bow. You are my sister. You are loved. And as bright as I am, come and walk next to me." That was the moment I realized that my spiritual journey was much bigger than I could have ever imagined. I was on a path that had been laid out for me, and I was finally ready to walk it, even if I didn't know where I was going. I guess my adventurous personality wanted to travel through India, meet new people, listen to other stories, and explore new places. So while I was at the lobby asking for information, I saw Alexia, a Texas artist from Peru. At that time, I couldn't even tie 2 strings together, and even when we didn't have many things in common, our language immediately connected us. She was going to a yoga training in Mysore, a well-known city in the state of Karnataka, so we decided to travel together. Riding a train in India was a vibrant sensory journey and a window into the country's soul. The platform buzzes with the calls of vendors and the rumble of an approaching train. Inside carriages become a microcosm of society, filled with a diverse mix of people sharing space, stories, and meals. As the train travels through diverse landscapes, you witness India's organized chaos and communal harmony firsthand, experiencing not just transportation, but an unforgettable cultural immersion. We first spent a few nights at Barkala, a tourist beach. While some Westerners wore swimsuits, most Indo women went into the water in loose clothes, hiding the curves of their bodies. I have never felt a need for modesty before, but I remember feeling so afraid during the trip that I was constantly covering my body. Unfortunately, that seemed to make me even more attractive to Hindu men. It was September, the monsoon season. Night fell, and I felt as if the world was about to end. The thunder was so strong that it lit up the entire sky and shook the ground. But something didn't feel quite right. The next night, I was trying to sleep when I heard strange noises, horse-drawn carriages and people walking while carrying change. The noises continued until 5:30 in the morning, and I couldn't sleep at all. Alexia didn't understand why I was so afraid, and neither did I. Was I hearing noises from another dimension? Or was my ego making up strange sounds to keep me away from going meditating? I headed to Hampi, an ancient city of magnificent ruins set against a surreal landscape of giant boulders. The site's heart is the Virupaksha temple, a still active place of worship with a towering gateway adorned with intricate carvings. Just as famous is the Vitala temple, home to the iconic stone chariot and the musical pillars that produce different notes when tapped. Hampi is a mesmerizing blend of history and spirituality, where every ruin tells a story. I stayed at a hotel with little cabins where there were many international travelers. To get there, you had to pass through a field of tall grass. If you travel to India, you will quickly learn that tourists are targeted with a special price, with people trying to sell you anything they can. That day, I was returning from the ruins as the sun began to set. I was the only person on the lonely street, and of course, had no Wi-Fi or service on my phone. Two teenagers appeared on the street, asking personal questions I wasn't in the mood to answer. I tried to tell them to leave me alone in a gentle way, but they didn't get it and kept pushing and following me. I was starting to get a little nervous since there was no one else on the street, just a field of grass taller than my hips. Suddenly, I saw some souls on the street. I felt a sense of relief. It was a little girl selling chai with her two younger brothers. She looked like she was 8, but was actually 10. Her English was pretty good, and I told her those guys were bothering me. She knew them, and in some Hindu dialect, gave them a good scolding and sent them home. She was one of the strongest women I have ever met. Yes, this skinny little girl was so powerful, so she didn't even know it. Her eyes were serene and bright, radiating a ton of light. I could see she was not a normal kid. Her innocence had been taken away a long time ago. She had an inner wisdom and a strength that's hard to explain. It's something you just know. After the teenagers left, she took me to a viewpoint where a guy was playing some Hindu instruments for other tourists who were watching the show. It was beautiful to enjoy the sunset and the music. Now that I was relaxed, I could have a real conversation with this girl. "Are these your brothers?" I asked. "Yes," she said. "And where are your parents?" "They went to another state to work." "So, who is taking care of you and your brothers?" "I am. I take care of them and prepare the tea we sell every day." I wanted to say something encouraging, but no words came to my mind. I had an impulse to give them money, but it felt wrong. I went back to my hotel, amazed at how my day had turned out. I had had an incredible experience and met an amazing person just by flowing and surrendering. Isn't it incredible that the people who most impact your life aren't a guru, a famous artist, or a popular icon? It's the ordinary people who leave the most remarkable memories in your mind. To be honest, I was still afraid to travel alone. I don't know about now, but in 2014, you couldn't see a single woman walking by herself on the street. Most Hindu or Muslim women in the south of India would be wearing a burqa or walking with a man, usually their husband or son, but never by themselves. It's no surprise that as a Western woman traveling alone, you will feel men's gaze on you. Of course, I was afraid. At Hampi, I met an Italian guy who was going to Bangalore, and I took the opportunity to join him. In my next episode, what other places would I know? What would I find inside the Taj Mahal? What other characters will I meet? Get the answers to these questions in my next episode. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast and want to support the work I'm doing, please consider checking out my Patreon. You can find the link in the show notes. Your gratitude and support help me create more content you love. You can also follow me at Instagram at Gina Baruch Art. See you next week, and remember, you were born to shine.